guys, it's Steph here. I am hanging out in my east side flower bed. This is where I have a lot of my fun perennials. I call this my perennial bed because it has a tree in there, it has a few evergreens, but it's just a lot of my favorite perennials. And it also gets quite a bit of shade because of my trees above me. I have a forest pansy redbud that's going to get a little bit bigger over time. That's also going to provide shade, but it does get sun in the late afternoon around 6 to 7. It's pretty hot then, but it's not a lot of sunlight, so these plants are really happy in here. Anyway, so I'm going to be planting Solomon Seal today. It's a beautiful shade-loving perennial. I really grow it for its texture and its beautiful variegation, but it does get these cute little bell flowers in spring. I just need to add a few more. I already have 3 in there. And actually I could have lifted my 3 and divided them if I wanted to save some money, but I didn't want to move them just because they're starting to look good. So I have 2 more that I'm going to put in there, and I'm immediately going to divide one of the containers that I have and make 2 of them. I'll show you what that looks like. But they're pretty easy to grow. They just like the shade. And then I'm going to pair them with some hostas. And then I'm also going to be planting some foxgloves. They're the apricot variety. They get about 3 to 4 feet tall. I think they're going to look great with that Solomon Seal, and they're going to fill in and add some color in the back of this flower bed to go along with all the other plants I have in here. So right over there you can see where it's shaded already from the walnut. So this area has my heavier shaded plants, and I've got some of that ligularia that's going to get about 3 feet tall and 3 feet wide. I've got some astrantia right here. It likes the shade and it likes to stay moist. But right up here it does get a little bit more sunlight, so that's where I have my lupine. I have a big drift of those scattered throughout. And then I've got some of my lady mantles on the front edge of the border, and that's just going to be a huge mass. So it's looking really good. I think foxglove and lupin and columbine. I've got some columbine right here that can handle a little bit more shade. Those are just great perennials to pair together. Here's my Sum and Substance hostas. So they can actually handle a little bit more sun than some of your other hostas. I cannot believe how much growth these have put on in 1 year. And so I just love this one. It gets a little bit of that brighter foliage, and it gets really big, up to 4 feet wide and 3 feet tall. And here is that Solomon Seal. Look how cool it is. There's no flowers on this one yet. I wanted to see if there's some flowers over here. And this gets about 2 feet tall. And you see all those rhizomes right there? See, I could have divided that one and this one if I wanted to, but since they grow so slow, I'm just adding a few more. You can handle the part shade to the full shade, and then it's also about 18 to 24 inches tall. Space them about 10 to 20 inches apart, so you can put them pretty close together. So it's hardy all the way down to zone 3, so it's really cold hardy up to zone 9. Yeah, and it blooms late spring. But as you can see, it pairs really well with those ferns, those hostas, Brunera. These are all heavy textured perennials. The Brunera would be really cool because it's got a silver foliage with those cute little dainty blue flowers. But it's a really slow spreader, so it's not invasive at all. With that Solomon Seal, you just want to make sure you keep the soil moist and plant the roots a little bit more on the shallow side. So I have 2 containers over here. I'm just going to divide them and make 4 plants out of the 2 containers that I have. And the goal is just to let them slowly naturalize around those hostas, and then I'll intermingle some of those foxgloves. I've been going to the nursery and looking at all of the plants I'm buying and see if I can divide them. The hostas, sometimes you can divide into 3 immediately. And if they're an expensive plant, you definitely want to do that so you save a lot of money. So right here, I'm just going to cut this one in half. You can see that there's 2 separate plants. Solomon Seal is one of the easiest plants to divide. And then right here, I am going to be set back a little bit. It's going to take a little bit longer for these plants to get a little bit bigger. I'll go ahead and cut this one right here because I only need 4. One of my favorite tools to divide plants is my Hori Hori, but I can't find it at the moment, so whoops. Kind of lost the soil on that. That'll be okay. So I'm just gonna go ahead and rip this in half, just like that. They're pretty resilient plants. So I actually ended up getting, look at that. These are so easy to pull apart. And look, I know that these are really small, but they just keep separating into more plants. I know it's hard to see, but they're so small. So I've got 9 of them that are going to just fill in this whole back area. So let's talk about those foxgloves before I get all of these plants in the ground. So right here is your apricot foxglove. And I was so happy because I was looking all over the nursery. So I have 5 of them right now. I have 3 over there, and I'm going to put a few right here. But I was looking all over the nursery for ones that were this size that aren't going to bloom this year, so I can get blooms next year. They are biennial, and they're really good for shade. So part shade to shade. And they get about 3 to 4 feet tall, and they're hardy down to zone 4. They definitely like the moist soil along with the Solomon seal, so that's why they're a good companion plant, and they bloom for a long time. I learned a trick about foxgloves. When they are really tall and they are starting to form those seeds, shake them a little bit. Shake those seeds off, and then that's how you're able to get blooms every single year, because they'll die off. Those original plants will die off, but those new seeds will start to form, and then it just becomes a beautiful mass of those foxgloves. And plants are pretty adaptable. They'll make their way around the hosses and the Solomon seal and find ways to grow. I wanted to talk about this foxglove real quick. This is more for the front edge of the border, but this is the Seven Peaks foxglove. I planted it last year, so it hasn't put a lot of growth on, but this one is awesome. I have 3 of them throughout here, but they are a perennial, and they are a little bit more drought tolerant. They don't get as tall, but they come back every single year, and they still have that foxglove shape, but it's more bushy and a little bit shorter. So I'm really excited for these to get nice and big and tall. It's gonna be so beautiful in here when everything's in bloom. Before I end this video, I just have to tell you I'm so excited because I'm seeing so many more ladybugs this year than I have in probably 6 years. I hope you guys like this video. This is turning out to be one of my favorite flower beds. Anyways, thanks for stopping by. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video, and I will see you in the next one.